We are midway through the NFL season. The Seattle Seahawks on top of the division taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Shaun Alexander leads the NFL with 12 touchdowns.
Boy, they're playing good, aren't they, when you look at the Seattle Seahawks? Ronnie, this Seattle team is better than any I've seen in a long time coming up from Seattle, and you're playing with great confidence. And you're right about Shaun Alexander. 12 touchdowns on the year already. To me, he's the most valuable player at the midpoint. I mean, the way Brett Favre ran it back in 98, 99 when they were so good.
2nd and 10, Alexander, and the run game has been what gets them going. They get a couple there. 3rd down and 4. Alexander, and he'll convert. He's hog-tied there by Dansby, but not before the 1st down, 6 yards. And Tim, you know the bad news for Seattle, coming off a bye, they have trouble.
Watch Darling, Ronnie, step up here. He's got a chance, then Sean's going to bust it out at the last second. He tries to slip in there, and that's just the vision by Shaun Alexander to get himself the 1st down.
Alexander looking for the outside, and he's got a couple. Alexander checks back in. They'll go to Alexander. He gets through that hole somehow, and he's out to the Cardinals' 25-yard line. And that's what the defenders, the Cardinals defenders, said. He does a great job of finding the smallest hole and getting through it.
And this is the problem that Arizona started to have issues with last week at Dallas. Watch the missed tackles all by these guys as they're right here at the line of scrimmage to get Shaun Alexander. You got Kalaji slanting in, you got Darling, they're all there, Dansby. 3 missed tackles. And a nice gain for Shaun Alexander for another 1st down.
10 yards for Alexander.
By Bobby Ingram.
They'll go back to the ground. Alexander tried to get outside, couldn't make it. 2nd and goal. Draw. Alexander gets away from one, but he can't get away from Darling, along with Langston Moore.
Therefore, putting holes in that umbrella coverage on the back end for the passing game.
They'll go with the draw. Alexander's got some room. Alexander down to the 8-yard line. Gets some of it back, but not nearly enough. And that'll bring on the field goal try for Seattle.
And they'll spread you out and then run Shaun on a little draw up inside. I want you to watch Bobby Ingram coming from nowhere to chop down Darling. You see that there? Just enough down below the waist where Darling gets chopped down, has to pop back up. Shaun is able to get another 5 yards on the run. Gets himself the pick.
Alexander, he gets stacked up by Wilson and Dockett. 2nd and 10. Alexander on a breakout. Alexander looking for the end zone, and he's inside the Cardinals' 5-yard line. 19 yards on the game.
Alexander on the carry. Brought down by Robert Griffin.
Just a little trick him up front. Tobeck's going to end up getting a good block backside. They're going to pull guys to make it look like they're going outside. Alexander just hits it right up the middle. You see him pull Hutch. Tobeck gets a good block. And then Shaun, a little misdirection, takes it right up the gut through a big hole, all the way down to about the 4-yard line. That's really, really good job up front of executing that blocking scheme.
Alexander, he's got room. He's still going. The play is not dead, and Alexander down to the 2-yard line. Robert Griffin has to bring him down. 12 yards, and Alexander's getting runs and gashes.
Watch this block here. You're going to have Walter pulling out. You're going to have a block down by Jeremy Stevens. As Walter gets out, he's going to get enough on the linebacker to free it up for Shaun Alexander. See, the end's out of the play, and then once Walter gets out there, he seals off Dansby, and Shaun runs it all the way down to the 2-yard line. That is the money side of the offensive line. When they need touchdowns, when they need big runs, more times than not, it's right over here behind those big boys.
And we have a challenge on the play from the Arizona sideline.
After reviewing the play, the runner's left foot steps out of bounds at the 4.5-yard line, and the ball is at the 4.5-yard line. The ball will be spotted at that spot.
Using it to his advantage there.
Alexander, he's got a lane. Shaun Alexander, he's all the way up to the Cardinals' 45-yard line, brought down by Darling and Griffin.
They've been waiting for it. He's getting it figured out.
1st down by Morris. They'll go back to Alexander, and Alexander won't get much. And in game 1 of the season, Seattle took over in the second half as Shaun Alexander got on track and stayed on track 140 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. You talk about that run game in the red zone. Arizona saw it all day long as he rocked the baby. And here's a guy, Tim, looking for a new deal. He will be a free man at the end of the year if they don't come up with a long-term deal.
And here he is walking off the football field right now, headed for the locker room with still adequate time left in the half here. Doesn't look like he's too beat up with that smile on his face.
No, he's always got that smile on his face now. Shaun Alexander approaching the 100-yard mark, and they can keep running the football, and that's always the key.
Well, the offensive line has done a great job, Ronnie, and you're right, Shaun is averaging over 6 yards a carry here in the first half of this game. And they've gone to him, and he's provided again, whether it be outside, whether it be inside. Shaun has picked up the big yards for the Seattle football team today, and I would expect nothing less in the second half. Stay with what works. Mike Holmgren will rely on that running game, which is going to about a clip of about 150 per game on the ground. So I would expect they'll continue to stay with that.
All right, let's go down to Kevin McKay.
Well, guys, I had a chance to talk to both coaches. Mike Holmgren, very happy with his defensive performance. They got to continue to put pressure on Kurt Warner. As for his offense, they got a touchdown late in the first half without Shaun Alexander. Had a little upset stomach. He had to beat the lines in the bathroom, so he went early for that. Denny Green, their defense has given up way too many plays. That's been the cause of concern for him throughout the season. Also, getting in the end zone, in the red zone. Guys?
And he's right about big plays. You can't let guys like Jeremy Urban run 9 routes on you down the sideline for 46 yards.
That's right. No disrespect to Jeremy, but Jeremy is a backup receiver coming in. You got to be able to shut those guys down. And they can't shut this guy down, Alexander. He's looking for the house. And this is why the Seahawks have to pay him. 88 yards right out of the gate for Shaun Alexander. And whatever went on in that bathroom, maybe he needs to go back up in there and come back out.
Well, you remember the play they ran earlier, and that was just unbelievable right there. It's the same scheme, but it's to the other side. They will down block with Stevens right here. Watch this crushing block here. Nice kick out by Locklear on Dansby. It's going to create a huge alleyway for Alexander. Then he just cuts off that lead block by Mack Strong. Now it's off to the races. Eyes in the back of his head. Watch right here. Just enough feeling Adrian Wilson. He veers to the right and punches it in for a long touchdown.
That's the extra by Brown, and that ties the longest touchdown run in Alexander's career. He went for 88 versus Oakland back in 2001. That was his second year in the league.
Got to talk about the blocking up front. Jeremy Stevens, 86. Watch him chop down Antonio Smith. Locklear is going to kick out on Dansby. Mack Strong is going to lead it up inside. 3 really, really good blocks. I mean, you just don't draw it up any better than that. And then it's the vision of Shaun to cut all the way back against the grain, and he's off to the races.
Another good cut back inside on Antonio Smith, the D tackle.
How about that little move to the left right there? Oh.
The top touchdown score since 2001.
Very self-explanatory right there, and Priest Holmes, I would say, is on the downward spiral of his career. Shaun and LaDainian both headed upward. You look at a guy like Shaun who's so durable. He's never missed a game with the Seattle Seahawks. With guys like that, you got to get paid. Guys like that, you want on your football team. He doesn't like when his quarterbacks get hit, Ronnie.
Sean Locklear fell on that ball. He better fall on it. That's Alexander. He'll take a loss.
All right, inspiring defense by Arizona. And guys together.
Alexander looking for the cutback. And a nice job of staying home by Adrian Wilson. I would expect, as you say, Tim, for Seattle to get back to the run. And there it is. Alexander with a couple.
Be out on the island at corner.
Here's a run to Alexander. Alexander's got some room, but he can't quite turn the corner. Huff, who played with Seattle last year, comes up with a nice tackle.
That's good range by Orlando Huff.
2nd and 6. Go to Alexander. Alexander picking his way. And he'll be, it looks, about 2-3 yards short of the first. He got 4.
So I guess if you can't get him down and keep him down, you kick his helmet when it gets rolled off, as Darnell Dockett did right there. Take out your frustrations. You can't take them out on Shaun. Take them out on his helmet.
I mean, you know, he's only got 161 yards rushing.
He's only running for about eight or nine a pop.
8 or 9 a crack, huh? 8 or 9 a crack.
Clancy's defense needs to stop here.
3rd down and 2. Alexander spins out of a would-be tackle, and he's got an easy 1st down.
Well, that's the difference between winning games and losing games. And with 7 minutes left, down by 8, you got to have a stop. Get it back to your offense, and you got 3 guys missing tackles. Watch Steve Hutchinson right here, the left guard. Watch what he does on this play. I mean, he's got Darnell Dockett reached bigger than Dallas. Then, of course, Chike and a couple other guys missing tackles there. But you know what? If Hutch doesn't make that play and Dockett penetrates his B gap in between the guard and the tackle and gets upfield like he should, that's a non-play. They're owning the line of scrimmage right now.
Hasselbeck using all the play clock, and this will be pay dirt for Alexander. His 2nd touchdown of the day. They made that look easy.
Well, I got to tell you, Jeremy Stevens has done such a good job blocking today, and there's good blocks across the board by all of these guys. But I want you to watch Jeremy Stevens. We've seen him knock defensive linemen off their feet all day. Watch this.
And what does it do? It cleans it up.
It opens up that backside. What do I always say with the zone running game? You better stay on your feet backside, or you're going to open up those cutback lanes.
Blocked.
And guys like Shaun Alexander are going to make it look easy. That's exactly what happened there as Jeremy Stevens got Smith off his feet. Shaun comes downhill right into the end zone. I mean, I have yet to see somebody get angry and lose it.
Keep it on the ground to Alexander. NFL today. Not only a total offense, a nice play there in the backfield. Chike O'Keefer
right now is running this system like the back of his hand.
3rd down and long. The Cardinals thought they saw movement. They were waiting to get a little love from the official and had to play football again. Shaun Alexander, the first play in the 2nd half, and he was 88 out the gate, as they say. 88-yard touchdown run. Off to his 173-yard performance. And with that huge yard per carry average. As we say, he was at 9 yards at one point. So for Tim Ryan and Kevin McCabe, I'm Ron Pitts saying so long from Arizona. The final, Seattle 33, Arizona 19. And Seattle in control of the NFC West.
Mike Holmgren's Seahawks come in with the best record in the NFC. They've got the #1 rusher in the NFL and the top-ranked offense. It's the St. Louis Rams visiting the Seattle Seahawks here in Week 10 of the NFL on Fox.
Well, for Seattle, it all starts with Shaun Alexander, who's probably having the best year of his career. He leads the league in rushing. He leads the league in averages per carry and in rushing touchdowns, and he always seems to run well against the Rams. In their last 4 regular season games, he's averaging over 142 yards a game.
If they can hold on for 10 more seconds, they will go into the Meadowlands and hand the Giants their first defeat at home. Oh, Shaun Alexander, he picks up 3. You know, we talk about Shaun Alexander and the year he's having. I mean, you've got to credit this offensive line. For years, they've talked about the left side and Walter Jones and Steve Hutchinson, but now people around the league are talking about everybody on the O-line.
Well, now they're arguably the best offensive line in football, and when you look at the numbers that this offense has put up, it's the #1 offense in the league. It all has to start up front. Walter Jones and Hutchinson on that left side, but really Sean Locklear at the right tackle has stepped in and really solidified that whole offensive line.
Here's Shaun Alexander on 2nd down. Can't find any room as the Rams just stretch him out. Brandon Chiller in there on the stop.
They want to come out and match up man-to-man on him.
Shaun Alexander picks up 4 yards on the run right up the middle.
Right back in the thick of things in that division. That division with Chicago winning again today, they're still in it. Chicago leads it, but you never know what can happen.
That's Alexander on the run, stopped by Little.
Leonard Little not only good against the pass, but he's also good against the run. That's why they missed him the last couple weeks, and they really expect him to have a big game today. You see the speed that he has when he closes down the line of scrimmage, comes up the field Once the ball's handed off, he can go parallel to the line of scrimmage and make that play and cut down that cutback lane for Alexander. Hard to stop him.
13th play of the drive. Alexander trying to stretch it out, forced to cut back. And that's trouble. The Rams had that one sniffed out from the get-go. They'll drop him for a 4-yard loss.
Well, one thing about this Rams defense is they've got a lot of speed. And when things break down like they did just then, they've got enough speed to correct that. The play starts to the left. They do a good job on the front side of shutting it all down. Alexander tries to come back. Locklear just absolutely blows up Leonard Little right there, number 91. But there again, you see, look at the pursuit. All the white jerseys coming in. Watch this block again. Leonard Little has no idea that Locklear is coming, and he just blows him up. If you're going to try to fake the ball, do it on before you take the timeout on 4th down. Don't take the timeout, then come back and try to make a fake, because as a defense.
Alexander following a block, getting some room. Shaun Alexander, gain of 22.
And when you've got a fullback like Mack Strong, Shaun Alexander says he's the best in the business. Mack Strong is just going to lead. Shaun Alexander stays right behind him until he gets a crease, then he jumps up in it. He says Mack Strong is the best blocking fullback in the league. He absolutely loves him. He says, hey, I just line up in I formation, let Mack knock guys down, and I run the ball.
1st and goal. Alexander loves this part of the field, and there's touchdown number 15 for Alexander. Just keeps on adding to his league-leading totals in practically every rushing category.
When you get down in the red zone, Shaun Alexander knows how to get the ball in the end zone. Something about guys down there, when you look back in history, the Marcus Allens, those kind of guys, when they get in the red zone, they have some innate ability to find a crease, to break a tackle, and just turn it up down there and get the ball in the end zone.
Josh Brown with the point after, and the Seahawks have their first lead of the ball game as Shaun Alexander puts his name in the NFL record books with the score.
Oh, no question about it. This is what I mean about just knowing how to get to the end zone. You see Pisatina Isamoa turns him in, but then he jumps right back to the outside, breaks 2 tackles, and is able to get into the end zone. There is no running back better today at getting the ball in the end zone than Shaun Alexander.
After the first touchdown of the day by this Seahawks team is the Rams' chance to try and answer. Shaun Alexander cutting it back. Alexander with a big run out across the 20, a gain of 13 yards.
That's where he's so dangerous. That zone stretch, if you're not disciplined on the backside, you're going to get beat. Watch Anthony Hargrove. He goes too far down and allows Shaun Alexander to cut the ball all the way back. Look at him. He's too flat. He's got to get up the field. If he gets up the field, that's a tackle for a loss. That zone stretch play with the vision that Shaun Alexander has, you got to be very disciplined or he's going to find a crease.
Second time in his career he's done that. Bottled up at the line of scrimmage. Pisatina Isamoa in there on the tackle. Draw play to Shaun Alexander. Pisatina Isamoa once again meets him at the line of scrimmage.
And he knows what to expect from the defense.
Alexander takes it into Ram territory. Pisatina Isamoa on the tackle. Shaun Alexander crosses that 1,000-yard mark for the season. Seahawks with a timeout, 1:22 left to go here in the first half. Alexander. And Alexander's caught by Anthony Hargrove. He'll pick up about 2.
The clock is running.
Seahawks begin at the 31-yard line, and Shaun Alexander's bottled up by this Rams defense, which has done a good job containing the leading rusher in the NFL today. 13 carries in the first half for 58 yards, and half of that almost came on 1 run.
Well, they wanted to be physical with him and try to get the ball out. In the past, he's been known to be a fumbler, and they wanted to come in, be physical with him, and rake the ball out. but it's been real tough, and looks like they've got some confusion defensively, the Rams do.
You'll have the best record. He says, yeah, Dad, I can't wait till you come and visit.
Oh, Dad's going to like this. Shaun Alexander in the open field. 38 yards on the run for Alexander.
And look at all the missed tackles, Kurt. When we talked to Joe Vitt, he said during their bye week, they went back and looked at all the big plays against their defense, and then most of them were done because of missed tackles. Watch, it's just that stretch play. He cuts it back, missed tackles right there. And then right here, Mike Furry, the free safety, he misses him, and now he's got a huge gain. That cut back right there and missed tackle. When you get in the secondary, those defenders, those defensive backs, they've got to get you down any way they can do it, and that's really hurt the Rams this year.
Here's Alexander through a hole down inside the 5. And suddenly, we go from saying Alexander's not having a big day to saying Shaun Alexander's now over 100 yards.
And this offensive line, they're firing off the ball much stronger, much more aggressively, and they're creating seams for Shaun Alexander to run through. And that's where it all starts up front. And they're starting it left behind Steve Hutchinson, Walter Jones, two of the best in the business. And if nothing's there, he's bringing it backside.
Alexander 104 yards rushing, 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns.
And just a good job by Hasselbeck recognizing the overload to their right and audibilizing to a run to their left side, the weak side of the Rams defense. That's what Hasselbeck has done a great job of this year, is checking out of plays, getting them in the situation where it's to their advantage.
Josh Brown with the point after, and the leading rusher in the National Football League, carried it 4 times for 50 yards on that drive. He's over 100 on the day and adds another score.
And Matt Hasselbeck does a great job. You see how the Rams are overloaded over here, and then he sees Adam Archuleta and how light the Rams are to the left. So he just audibilizes from the play. You see he's looking at it. He sees Adam Archuleta, points him out, and now they run the play back to the other side where the Rams don't have enough guys over there to stop the play. Great call by Matt Hasselbeck.
Shaun Alexander may be a guy you hear from as he put his name into the NFL record books with his 15th and 16th touchdowns of the season. The leading rusher in the league picks up 1 more yard, and he's the first guy in NFL history ever to have 15 touchdowns or more rushing in 5 straight years, and he's also over the 1,000-yard mark now for 5 straight years.
And when people talk about who the best running back in football is, they very rarely say Shaun Alexander. And if you ask me, I think he's right on par with LaDainian Tomlinson, the guy that most people say is the best in football. And Denny Green, after the game last week, where Shaun Alexander absolutely killed him, ran for 173 yards. He said, hey, he's the best back in the league.
Alexander gets the carry again, picks up 2, and Chris Myers has more on Shaun Alexander.
Yeah, Kurt and JC. Shaun Alexander told me earlier this year he's become a wiser runner, and he said you would think that franchise tag would put more pressure on me, but it's actually relaxed me. He said, I am more motivated, but I'm much more relaxed. And Tim Ruskell told me before the game that another proposal was made to extend him beyond this year. He wouldn't say if they were any closer or not, but it's certainly an ongoing discussion.
And that is the big question as Alexander goes out on 3rd down. Shaun Alexander gets the first down. Ten more yards for Alexander. And Chris Myers talked about the offer that he had. Most people know he's playing under a 1-year contract, looking for a long-term deal.
And they just spread the Rams out. Look at 2 receivers on each side, spread them out, and then just run the quick hitter inside. And there's not a lot of people inside to make the tackle.
First down at the 29-yard line. Alexander hitting the backfield. Tisa Tino Isamoa getting a good shot on it. The leading rusher in the National Football League coming into the afternoon just keeps on adding to it as he picks up 5 more. Alexander now with 125 yards rushing today.
And he's a slippery type of runner. He's not a guy that's going to try to run over you, but at the last second, he's going to slide. He's going to turn his shoulders, make himself small, and slip off of you. And that's why he's so tough to tackle. And you can see it looks like he's bottled up inside a lot of times, and next thing you know, he just slides right through, and he's got 4 or 5 extra yards.
And with a big lead, you got to believe he's going to get more chances. This time he stopped for the loss of about a half yard. One of the few times that the Rams have been able to contain Shaun Alexander since the early going. They did a good job then, but it seemed like things really got rolling the Seahawks' way once Alexander got rolling. Bailey playing his first game of the season for the Seahawks. And now it's Shaun Alexander time.
Holt said he was gearing his comeback back for this game in particular to take on the division leaders. And to help that knee injury, he spent time in the pool, which obviously comes in handy in weather like this.
They give it to him. He hits Pisatino Isamoa, bounces off of him, and keeps on going to pick up the first.
And just a good job all the way around. Pisatino Isamoa comes up and blows up Mack Strong and runs right in to Shaun Alexander, but there's nobody else there to tackle him. Look, it just blows him up, runs into Alexander, and Alexander has got the balance, the presence of mind just to keep those feet moving. Right there, gets tripped up actually by Mack Strong, but he gets enough for a first down. That was a huge play for Seattle.
Gets the clock under 5 minutes. Alexander. They bottle him up again. Ryan Pickett in there on the stop.
Man-to-man coverage.
Alexander gets away. Shaun Alexander keeps the chains moving. He picks up 10. Oh, what a day for Shaun Alexander. What a season for Shaun Alexander, the leading rusher of the National Football League coming into the afternoon. And he just keeps on adding to those numbers, including 2 more touchdowns. He's now leading the National Football League with 16 rushing touchdowns. Goes in the record books as the first man ever to do 15 touchdowns 5 years in a row. He also goes over the 1,000-yard mark for the 5th straight season. And oh yeah, he just continues to eat up yards against the St. Louis Rams.
And Shaun Alexander, he's just got great vision and great feet, and he's faster than he looks. Deceptively fast, and he's deceptively strong. He breaks a lot of tackles, especially at the line of scrimmage. And once he gets to that second level, those defensive backs, it's hard for those guys to bring him down. And, you know, we mentioned earlier about him being in a contract year and all the issues with that, and that never hurts to keep a guy motivated. He knows that he's playing for a contract the next season, and, you know, I don't blame Seattle for trying to delay that as long as possible. Make him stay hungry, make him want to prove himself, and it's just better for the team.
Dangle that carrot a little bit longer. First down for the Seahawks, Alexander. And Shaun Alexander going to pick up 3 more.
And you can hear the Rams down there screaming, get the ball, get the ball. They want to try to force a turnover, punch that ball out of Alexander's hands.
And instead, they'll have to use their second timeout. I mean, he was the 4th running back taken back in that 2000 draft. Ron Dane was taken ahead of him, Jamal Lewis, Thomas Jones. And he had to wait his turn behind Ricky Waters, but basically sat out for the most part that first year being a backup. But each year he's been a starter. He's just gotten better and better and better each year.
And like I said, right now, I think he's the best running back in football, and this system suits him, his style perfectly. And, you know, that's why the draft is such an inexact science. You know, like you said, Ron Dane had all those accolades, Heisman Trophy winner, and all those yards in college, and really hasn't done anything in the NFL to speak of. And you got a guy like Shaun Alexander who keeps working to get better, and, you know, now arguably the best guy in football.
Let's go down to Chris Myers. Chris?
Yeah, Kurt and JC, you know, there was some question in the past about the working relationship between Mike Holmgren and Shaun Alexander, and Shaun told me this year it's the best it's ever been. He said, you know, I've stood up to him, but in a way a kid would to a respectful father, and we understand each other now, and that's another reason I'm having a big year.
Well, the big year continues. Alexander gets stopped right at the line of scrimmage, and the Rams use their final timeout.
And winning also helps.
Yeah.
When you're winning, things don't seem as big as they are, and, you know, some minor things, you know, you just brush them off and don't even think about them. It's when things are going bad, all those little things kind of become big things.
Clock. Alexander. Shaun Alexander picks up 4. As we reach the 2-minute warning, 5th straight 1,000-yard season. And now just runs more clock for the Seahawks, as he's going to be out near another Seattle first down.
And really, this Seattle Seahawks offense, in particular, those offensive linemen, they've just taken control of this game in this drive. They had to come out. They had to put some first downs together and keep this clock running. And it's crunch time. It's money time, and they came out, and they've really done it.
Seahawks kept this drive alive by converting when they needed to. This is a 4th chance at it, needing a yard. Alexander outside, first down and more. Give him the touchdown. Shaun Alexander's 3rd rushing touchdown of the game, 17th on the season.
There can't be anybody better in the league right now. 165 yards today. Shaun Alexander, he's got this team on his back.
They're trying to cool him off. He's so hot.
We talked about his speed. It's deceptive. All they want to do is get a first down here. Look at him, just a dive. He slides to the outside, and now he just runs away from everybody. They think he's going to go inside, slides it out with those great feet, that vision, and next thing you know, he's in the end zone.
Shaun Alexander going fishing after that one.
Just reeling it in, huh?
Now, we've talked about the spectacular season that Alexander has had, and certainly an MVP candidate. But now we reach the point, not only talking about 2,000 yards for Alexander, but just how good are these Seattle Seahawks. With the win, they'll be at 7-2. Atlanta is losing to Green Bay. Carolina did beat the Jets, so they and Carolina would be the only 2 7-2 teams in the NFC.
And quietly, not a lot of people have said much about this team, and I think they made a statement today. This was a statement game for them. They wanted to show everybody that they are one of the best teams in the league, that they're not going to have the collapse that they've had in the past when they've started off fast. And the way they're playing, I mean, they're all cylinders. They're running the ball well. Matt Hasselbeck doing a great job changing the plays at the line of scrimmage, and then defensively playing very well.
Caramel macchiatos for everyone. The Seahawks get the win. 31-16, the celebration begins. So far, Shaun Alexander has been great. The Seahawk running back putting up the kind of numbers unprecedented in the history of the National Football League. And he's a big part of the reason the Seahawks come in with the best record in the NFC as they take on their West Division rivals, the San Francisco 49ers. I don't know if there's anybody who's played better week in and week out than Shaun Alexander so far this season.
Well, Shaun Alexander, in my opinion, is having an MVP season. When you look at his numbers right now, most running backs would love to have those numbers at the end of the season. He's on pace right now to break all-time NFL records for rushing yardage and touchdowns. And the scary thing, Curtis, he says that every time he steps on the field, he wants to be a better running back than when he left it. That means that this 49er defense has their hands full today. Even though they played better the last 3 weeks, only giving up an average of 17 points with guys like Bryant Young, Julian Peterson, Derek Smith, they've got to get all their other guys playing up to that level if they're going to have a chance to beat Seattle today.
With MVP candidate Shaun Alexander in San Francisco, I'm Chris Myers. And Shaun, how do you guard against overconfidence or getting complacent facing a 2-17?
Well, really, it all goes back to what we want to do. We set high goals, and it doesn't matter who we're playing against. we got to step up. You know, I mean, we have the #1 offense, and it's not because we take teams lightly. You know, we got big goals for this game, and we got to go at it.
I know you said individual goals and you like keeping them private, but how would you describe your mindset this close to kickoff? You look very relaxed. Are you nervous at all?
That's not my style. You know what I mean? I just I pray a lot before the game, and I just stay focused on doing what I've been blessed to do.
All right, well, congratulations so far. Good luck today. All right, thanks, Sean. All right, I talked to some of the 49er defenders, Kurt, and they said, yeah, he's having an MVP-type year. We don't want him to have an MVP-type game.
All right, Chris, you might want to pinch Shaun Alexander. I'm not quite sure he's awake for this, is he?
Yeah.
He's a little laid back for this one, but averaging 125 yards rushing per game, and it seems like almost unstoppable fashion. I guess you can be that relaxed because you're that confident.
But typically most offensive guys are relaxed. It's the defensive guys that get wired up and fired up and grunting and growling because they're ready to go out and hit somebody. And they really have to be strong today up front against this running attack of Seattle.
Alexander's first carry, and he's going to be out near that first down marker.
See, that's why this offense is so difficult to stop, Kurt, because they come out, they throw the ball, they run the controlled routes. We saw Ingram on the first pass, and then DJ Hackett runs the short crosser. But then now when you start thinking pass, now they just give it to Alexander, and they're so balanced, so diversified offensively, it really keeps defenses on their heels. Guys at the cornerback position, they don't have the confidence yet.
And Alexander picks up 4 yards on the gain, and you can see why, as you said. This offense comes in with more yards than any other in the National Football League because they can do it so many different ways, and we've already seen several different guys involved.
That's why this offense is so good.
At the San Francisco 40, Alexander bottled up, and he'll only pick up 3 yards on the play. Derek Smith, along with Julian Peterson on the stop.
49ers did a great job.
On 3rd and goal from the 10. Out of the backfield, Alexander will be stopped 2 yards shy of the goal line by Derek Smith. Another 4th down decision for the Seahawks.
And a good job by this 49er defense. They give up the big play on 4th down, but instead of just giving up the touchdown, they continue to play hard and they fight and scratch, and they keep Seattle out of the end zone. Force them here on 4th down to go for the field goal.
Halftime report at intermission. Right now it's Shaun Alexander with his biggest run of the afternoon as Alexander picks up 9.
Giants tied atop the East with Dallas. Back to Kurt Menefee.
All right, JB, as Shaun Alexander picks up the first down on a 7-yard gain.
Now Seattle, obviously, by these first 2 plays in this series, they want to come out and establish Shaun Alexander in this running game. The last drive, they really started out throwing the ball the first few plays and then started trying to run the ball. Like we said, they're very diverse, but Hasselbeck and Ingram.
25-yard gain to the 23. Shaun Alexander will pick up 5 more.
There it is. Back to you, Kurt and J.C. Pearson.
All right, TB, we've got a first touchdown of the day. Shaun Alexander, his 18th of the season as he takes it in from 8 yards out.
And whenever you get close to the end zone, you got to give the ball to Shaun Alexander. That guy just turns it up another level. When he gets to the red zone and somehow he finds a way to get that ball into the end zone. It's his 28th touchdown. I mean, actually, the record to break it is 28. The record's 27. He's on pace to break that, though.
He's got 18 now, and we're in the second quarter of game number 10. Alexander gets the first TD of the afternoon, and the Seahawks retake the lead 10-3.
Let's go back to that last touchdown, and Chris Gray does a great job of sealing, and then watch Sean Locklear come and lead through and just open up a huge hole for Shaun Alexander right there. And again, he just breaks a tackle and he just smells that end zone. All-time leader, 17 touchdowns. Look at some of these names on here: Jim Brown, Emmitt Smith, Terry Allen. How about Terrell Davis? All those guys. He's got more touchdowns through 9 games and added another one here today in game number 10, picking up the field at Mack Strong.
And then they bring Shaun Alexander right back at you, and boom, boom, there's 8 more. I mean, this is really a pick-your-poison kind of offense, which is why I guess we shouldn't be surprised they come in ranked number 1.
And that's why as a defense, you have to figure out what you're going to stop. You've got to take something away. You can't let them run the ball and throw the ball. Take something away. They do a good job on the run here, but you've got to take that away and force them to be one-dimensional.
3rd and short. Here's Alexander. Runs right into Bryant Young. Kept fighting with a second effort, but Young is down. We'll see where they spot this.
He's been the guy. Here's Bryant Young right here. Gets caught right in the middle, and when you get in that pile, you get your leg rolled up, and you see him 97 coming out on the back end of that pile and just in pain. And right away, Marcus Douglas is yelling. You can see, watch that right leg. It just gets twisted up under the pile, and that's unfortunate. Bryant Young is their leader on defense, having a great year.
Comes around their way. Good respect from the fans here in San Francisco. Shaun Alexander will pick up 3 yards on the play. Shaun Alexander stretched out, but gets around the corner. And Alexander picks up 12. And just at the point you're thinking, Shaun Alexander's got the touchdown, but not huge numbers. Here he goes.
They love to run this play, and if they can get to the edge right away, they're going to do that. And you can see it's just a sprint to the edge. He follows Mack Strong. Mack seals the corner, and now it's just a sprint around the outside, and they'll take a 5, 6, 7 yard gain every time on that. And that's Shaun Alexander's first read. Can he get to the edge and around the corner? That time he could.
They get the first down on the penalty, and Shaun Alexander stretched out, nowhere to go, as he is stopped by Marcus Douglas. Here's a look at the fantasy stats from the first half. And for the Seahawks, it's typical Seahawks, spreading it around, running the football, getting touchdown from Alexander, and Hasselbeck throwing it.
Got 17 points on the board, but they haven't played as well as they normally play.
Alexander pushing the pile. He'll be out near that first down spot. Shaun Alexander talked about the typical numbers in the first half, averaging 5 yards a carry, but he does it in typical Shaun Alexander style. A big run here, a couple yards there, and eventually he'll add a touchdown.
And said 5 yards a carry, and he told us last night that if they can take 5 yards a carry, they'll take that all day long, because now teams are going to have to do something different to try to stop that 5 yards, and that's when he breaks the long one on them.
And on first down, he picks up 3 more. Andre Carter in there on the stop, along with Derek Johnson. 5 catches for 89 yards for Ingram, and they go back. Alexander cutting it back. Caught in the backfield. Good tackle by Andre Carter. Drop him for a 12-yard loss.
Get themselves going.
Alexander. Shaun Alexander picks up 3 yards on the run.
Now today he hasn't done very much at all, and this offense is stalling a bit.
Alexander stutter steps, finds open room. Spins! Shaun Alexander forced out inside the 25, but it looked like they had him stopped. Makes a couple of moves, and then picks up 40.
The one thing about Shaun Alexander, you've got to wrap him up. He's not a guy that's going to run over you or things like that, but you've got to wrap him up, because he's going to slide at the last second. He's going to spin off you. He's going to do all those things. You can see he's just going to come through. Great job right there finding the hole, but look at the missed tackles. One right there, then he spins off of Shante Spencer, and now what would have been a short gain is now a huge gain, and now they're on the 25-yard line.
Shaun Alexander up, over, touchdown number 19. They didn't even try and make a secret out of it, did they?
And guess where he went? Right over the left side of that offensive line, behind big Walter Jones and Steve Hutchinson, those Pro Bowlers. Probably the best left side of an offensive line in the league. Just a simple dive play, and look at those guys. And then they got big Pork Chop Womack in there also as an extra blocker, and it's a lot of guys over there. And Shaun Alexander, he doesn't need a whole lot of room to get into the end zone.
Seattle takes it over at the 31. Alexander fighting to pick up a yard, and that's it. Shaun Alexander already over the 100-yard mark today. He's over 1,200 for the season. Now Matt Hasselbeck and the Seahawks will try and run some clock as Shaun Alexander gets stopped at the line of scrimmage, if he got back that far. We'll see if he's able to come back. Shaun Alexander picks up 3 yards. Had an 8-point lead in the fourth quarter, and they gave it to Shaun Alexander time after time. Eventually, he scored a long touchdown to seal the win. Here's Chris Myers.
Kurt, Shaun Alexander told us prior to last week that he took a shot in the neck, and the chiropractor told him he needed a couple of days. He said, no, I have just a couple of hours. And they worked with him, and his neck was okay, even though he applied heat pads to it last week. He was feeling a little bit better this week, but he is toughing it out, even though he's not exactly 100%.
Oh, this game and this year, he's been a pain a little bit lower for most defenses.
Maurice Hicks is not in the game right now. And I think he's their best runner, so I think if you're Seattle, you've got to be thinking, hey, they're going to throw the ball.
Well, the San Francisco 49ers hadn't scored a touchdown in 3 games and 3 quarters. They get 2 in the fourth quarter here, but it will come down to whether or not they can get a 2-point conversion. Dorsey, too short. Johnny Morton, the intended receiver, and Dorsey just short-armed the football.
He panicked.
Seattle, Washington on a clear, cool day. The scene today, Quest Field. East meets West in a battle between 2 NFC division leaders. It's the New York Giants taking on the Seattle Seahawks.
You know, both of these teams, the New York Giants with Tiki Barber in the backfield, have gotten to where they are right now because of the run game. And for the Seattle Seahawks, the guy who comes to mind is Shaun Alexander. But one thing the Giants have to key on, other than Shaun Alexander, is Mack Strong. He is the guy who opens up the holes for them, and that's the guy they have to go and take care of today.
And you're talking about one of the best tackle guard left sides in the league, Darryl.
Yeah, when you go up against the Seattle Seahawks, you're going to have to play well on the defensive right side. Walter Jones and Steve Hutchinson, probably the best guard tackle combination. When they need a critical play in the running game, Seattle is going to look to that left side of the line.
2nd down and 1, and here is Shaun Alexander's first carry, and he's not going to make it. Alexander in 2 games against the Giants have averaged under 3 yards a rush, and this is where the right side of the defense has to play big today.
Now, these are the 3 key guys. Osa Umenyiora, your defensive end, Fred Robbins starting ahead of William Joseph, who's injured right now, and Nick Bryson, the weak side linebacker. Those are the 3 guys who are going to be responsible for shutting down that running game to the Seattle left side of the line.
And Bryson made the tackle on Alexander, bringing up 3rd down and 1, and here is Alexander. He'll get the first down as he crosses the 35-yard line. 2nd down and 4. Alexander again bottled up and picking up about 2 yards. Ray Guy, one of the final 25 finalists for the Hall of Fame. Here's Alexander. Bounces off a defender and makes something out of nothing as he is stopped at the 36-yard line after a 5-yard pickup.
You know, it's amazing watching Shaun Alexander from down here. It looks like he just almost stops right at the line of scrimmage and then gets going. He's one of the quickest guys that I've seen in a long time be able to stop and start up again. Last guy I saw that could do that was Barry Sanders, guys.
Hasselbeck on midfield, and here's Shaun Alexander. Fumble. And they say the play was blown dead on the Giant 49-yard line, and it was Antonio Pierce who knocked the ball loose to no avail.
Well, when Shaun Alexander has the ball, you have got to get people to the point of attack. And you heard Tony talk about it right there. It looks like he's bottled in. He's always moving forward. You know, his feet may look like they're coming to a stop, but he's always moving forward as he's going. And just because you think he's hemmed in, he's a big guy, but he has the ability to come all the way out the back door and to make some really good cutback runs.
Goosey told us he has great vision and the ability to change directions. Shaun Alexander has gained 7 yards and 5 carries. Will try for more here on the pitch left. And I'll tell you, the Giants will be happy if they hold Alexander to that kind of a gain. He did get 5 with Emmons and Jabril Wilson, the strong safety, in on the play.
Starting position, and here is Shaun Alexander. Alexander hasn't done much of this game. Has averaged 2 yards a carry. Picks up 3 here.
You see there, not a very productive game for Alexander.
Alexander again doesn't get much. Hand off to Alexander. Alexander's biggest run from scrimmage today is only 5 yards. He gets one there with Kendrick Clancy holding him up.
Facing a big challenge today or living up to it.
Here's Alexander again. And Alexander with a good run and picking up 6 yards. Alexander getting to the 50-yard line, getting 6 yards on the play.
We're getting close to it right here.
Alexander 11 for 30 on this carry, and he'll have the first down. Crowd into it as he is in Giant territory.
Not only against the run, but getting great penetration and push up front to give those guys a chance to go and get back there and knock balls out of their hands.
Alexander just misses getting a first down, gets 9 on that play. Playing in place of the injured William Joseph, Kendrick Clancy, and Justin Tuck. Here is Alexander, first down. First down at the 29, and the pitch to Shaun Alexander. And Alexander picking up about 5 yards on the play. Is not 100%. Second down and 5. Here is Alexander with blockers. The Giants stretching it out. And here is Humaniora going out wide to make the play. No gain for Shaun Alexander. Hasselbeck 13 of 23. First down handoff to Alexander. And the Giants bottle him up after a gain of 2.
We're in a good start right now. Just a 1-point lead over the Giants.
Alexander. And from behind, Brent Alexander brings him down after a gain of 3. In there now, to the bottom of the picture. Here's Alexander with strong blocking. And coming from behind was Jabril Wilson with a good defensive play. No gain for Shaun Alexander. First down. Alexander spinning his way, picking up a yard. Second down and 9. Here's Alexander again. And Alexander to the 33-yard line. Humaniora makes the tackle as the Seahawks. Third and long coming up. From the 13, Alexander gets inside the 10, where Michael Strahan holds on. Second and 11. Here's Alexander with Mack Strong blocking. And Strahan slowed him up. And Alexander cutting back, picking up 1 yard. So Strahan very nearly had Alexander trapped for a loss. Here it is, 4th and inches. Alexander. No sign yet. He's got the first down. No signal for a touchdown as of yet.
I don't know, guys. It looked like he was over. I was standing 11 yards from where he went over. There it is. That's it.
So the 4th down gamble by Mike Holmgren, and there is Shaun Alexander hitting it out of the park. And the 4th player in league history with back-to-back 20 or more touchdown seasons. His 22nd effort.
We've been able to break out the last few weeks, but he's been very quiet this afternoon.
Shaun Alexander goes around the left-hand path. Flag is down. First down, and here's Alexander off the left side, and he gets knocked down. And no gain on the play.
Whoever wins this game is going to be the king of the hill today, guys.
Second down and 8. And Alexander getting to midfield, stopped by Michael Strahan after a pickup of 4. No, the OT. Longest attempted was successful. Here's Shaun Alexander trying to go outside and tripped up. A terrific play by Will Allen from the 44. Play action. Here's Hasselbeck with time. Pass caught underneath to the 41-yard line by Alexander. A tackle, first down on the 38. Alexander, determined, straight ahead. Alexander going for 100 yards in the game. And here is Shaun Alexander with a huge run. The first down on the 17-yard line. And here is Alexander. Second down and 8. And they give it to Alexander, who's tackled for a loss by Kendrick Clancy.
On this 5th night of December, a light snow has been falling in Philadelphia, but almost every seat will still be filled at Lincoln Financial Field for the Eagles against the Seahawks.
Do you know me? Not many people do. I was drafted in 2000. But I'm not in the military. I've run each of the last 5 years. But I'm not a politician. I've earned a couple of free trips to Hawaii, but not from frequent flyer miles. Although last year, I barely lost a race to a jet.
Curtis Martin wins by 1 yard.
Then there's my resume. I'm the only guy in NFL history to have 15 or more touchdowns in 5 straight years.
That's 20 TDs in 11 games.
Still nothing? I work with some pretty big guys, and we're making some noise in our profession. Still don't know me? Well, after tonight, you will. I've always wanted to say this.
Are you ready for some football? Shaun Alexander and the Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football. They have won the NFC West. They've guaranteed a January date at home. And John, Mike Holmgren is in his 7th season. He's kind of treaded water. They've been to the playoffs, haven't won a playoff game. Now all of a sudden a breakout year. What's the difference?
Well, you know, I think they have so much more confidence. I mean, you just look at the way they act. You talk to them, you watch them play. This is a totally different team. I think maybe they have the best offensive line in football. Matt Hasselbeck throws the ball. Shaun Alexander runs it, and that's a pretty potent offense. And then on defense, they're young, they're inexperienced, but they play very hard and very fast.
The Seahawks, #1 in the league in yards per game. Here's their offense.
Matt Hasselbeck, Boston College.
Shaun Alexander, the University of Alabama.
Mack Strong, University of Georgia.
Bobby Ingram, Penn State.
Joe Jervicius, Penn State.
Jeremy Stevens, UW.
Walter Jones, Florida State.
Steve Hutchinson, University of Michigan.
Rob Tobeck, Wazoo.
Chris Gray, Auburn.
Sean Locklear, NC State.
What Stevens does, he just works that middle and finds the hole in his zone.
And Seattle starting with a hurry-up as Shaun Alexander has his first carry of the night. Take him across the 45 to the 43. So a good, fast pace. One of the best fullbacks in the league. Great blocker. And that's Alexander going in behind it, but that time the play is broken up by Trent Cole. Good-looking rookie. 2nd and 10. Already the 8th play of this drive. And Alexander, who came up 1 yard shy of the rushing title last season. Curtis Martin beat him out by a yard. He comes into this game trailing only Edger and James, trailed by 8 going in, but James has the advantage of having played an extra game.
A first down, you put him in the slot, and you go to him in that kind of pattern.
And it's Shaun Alexander taking it to the 13-yard line. So they've had the ball a little bit more than 5 minutes. Alexander has carried the ball 4 times for 13 yards. And this next play will be the 11th play of the drive. Michael is in. And Seattle with this drive, which is the opening drive of the game. And now down to the 1 yard line goes Shaun Alexander. He's tackled there by Brian Dawkins. It'll be first down and goal. And upcoming will be the 12th play of this drive for Mike Holmgren.
See, what they did is they went on a quick snap here, and they have an extra tackle, so you have 3 offensive linemen on this side. And again, they don't let the Eagle defense adjust to it. They get up there and go in the first sound, and Alexander just gets to the outside.
Now Alexander. And Alexander, no stranger to the end zone, gets forced out of bounds at the 8-yard line by Mark Semino. Alexander has already scored 20 touchdowns this season. He's on a pace to break the record of 27 set by Priest Holmes a couple of seasons ago. First and goal, ball to the 3. Alexander to the outside. He can't get out of the backfield as Brian Dawkins stopping him. So the Philadelphia offense has still not been on the field. 2nd and goal. They have Jervicius split to the left. They're going to give the ball to Alexander. He's going to spin around, and I don't know where he was going to go, but he goes nowhere because the Eagles break through, and Quentin Michael is in the backfield, so they're back at the 12-yard line. Over the first 6 seasons, Emmitt Smith had 100 touchdowns, and Alexander at this point, with 5 games still to play, counting tonight's game, has 92 touchdowns. And as we said before, with 20 already, he's on a pace to score 29, which would break Priest Holmes' record.
Yeah, he's kind of a slow starter, too, and you're going to see Shaun Alexander is going to run a lot more effectively in the 3rd and 4th quarter than he does the 1st and 2nd.
Talked to him last night about that. He said, after about number 20 is when I really get going. This is his 9th carry already. When he really got going after 8 tonight as he gets dragged down from behind by Brian Dawkins. You've got Michael Lewis, who is shaken up, also back in the game now. An 18-yard run for Alexander.
Yeah, we're talking about this offensive line, and you talk so much about the left side of it. You think that the right side isn't very good, but the right side is also very good and very effective run blockers. And the great thing about Shaun Alexander is he has patience and vision.
All I can see right now are dark green jerseys.
There's a lot of dark green jerseys on them right now, isn't there?
In the 98 season. 2nd and 10. Alexander across the 50 to the 49-yard line. Great start for Seattle. Their offense on the field right now. 33-yard line. Hasselbeck hands the ball. Alexander bounces it outside, but from no gain and another penalty.
Color codes for everything you could want to call.
And he put a lot of plays in the margin and underneath as well. And so it's almost like, he has it boxed out.
Of plays for special players.
2nd and 4. Alexander to the 45. Mike Holmgren won't need as many plays tonight with a 3-touchdown lead and a running back like Alexander. Of course, you're not thinking about chewing up the clock in the first half, but they are perfectly positioned with a big lead in the second half to use a lot of clock with this guy.
Mike Holmgren was saying last night, he said, I really want to attempt to run tonight. And he's one of those coaches, and Andy Reid is the same way, that once they get off on a passing tangent, they have a tough time getting back to the run sometimes. But he said he really wants to stay with it tonight.
Alexander already his 15th carry.
All those losses were 1 o'clock games, and it's tough to play a 1 o'clock game on the East Coast.
Alexander, that's the addendum to what we just showed you. Can Alexander get his 21st touchdown of the season? And 21 touchdowns, all on the ground for Shaun Alexander. Priest Holmes with the NFL record of 27.
And this place is in shock right now, and Jim Johnson was right. They're balanced right and left, but when they get down here and they really need it, and he's going to score touchdowns, most of the time it'll be running to his left.
Alexander to the 45-yard line.
If you're going to just pound it in there, then just give it to Shaun Alexander right in here behind these two guys, and that's not bad running.
I would guess that's going to be the play. Well, they're going to send him on a sweep instead. To the outside to go. Can he turn the corner? Yes, he can. Touchdown, Alexander. His 2nd of the night, his 22nd of the season, and with 29 seconds remaining in the first half, it is 34-0. Mack Strong also helping to lead the charge, the fullback.
Mack Strong in the left guard, number 76. You see Steve Hutchinson pull there, turn up right there, make the block, cut Simino off, and that's what lets Shaun Alexander get to the outside.
Well, what Mike Holmgren's saying to Shaun Alexander here is probably you're done for the night. The game is in hand. We have a long way to go. I need your man down the stretch. We're not going to take any chances. We got Maurice Morris in there. And John, who would have ever thought? I mean, with Alexander, and again, now you're thinking about individual situations. He has a chance of the rushing touchdown record. He's a chance to lead the league in rushing, which was a source of a lot of controversy last year when he didn't win it. But if you're Mike Holmgren, you'd have to take him out of the game here.
Yeah, you have to, and these would be very easy yards for Shaun Alexander. But at some point, you have to give that up. I mean, he's healthy. He's been healthy all year. He was healthy coming into this game, and if you can get him out of Philadelphia being healthy, that's a good thing.
Morris again, in the backfield, taken down. Last year, Alexander was very upset because Curtis Martin won the rushing title by a yard, and he felt he could have had a carry to get him that title, and then he had a contract situation as well, and Westbrook is going to go back to the locker room. They put the franchise tag on Alexander. They promise they won't do it again next year. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but the feeling seems to be that they will be able to sign him to a long-term deal in Seattle. And he was telling us last night he'd like to remain a Seahawk if possible.
It was interesting what he did when they franchised him. Of course, that's a one-year contract. Then he went and got insurance. And the combination of the two worked pretty well. Here's Walter Jones, who, the thing that I've always liked about him is he's a good run blocker, too. Just watch him get on his guy and stay on him. I mean, most tackles are good pass protectors, left tackle, but this guy is as good a run blocker as he is a pass protector.
Talked about Ben Roethlisberger. I think he's standing next to New York Vinny. It's back out to Magnolia, and Vinny's having beers. It's not even 1 o'clock. Vin, what do you got?
No, I'm with Soda. I'm only with Soda because we're working. I don't want to violate any FCC rules. You know, one thing great about the Village Pub out here in Magnolia is you get fans from all over the place, all over the world. And you're living in Seattle now, but where are you from?
That's right. I'm from Seattle.
So how do you wind up?
Before there was any Seahawks.
Oh, so wait a second now. So now when the Steelers play the Seahawks, which way do you go?
I'm a Steeler fan.
So you stay with the Steelers.
That's right.
So they're doing good today, right? I mean, the Steelers.
We're back in it.
Okay, so they need to win out, I think.
That's right. Got to win out. No losses.
So what is the Seahawks?
Cincinnati's losing. We got a shot.
Good. Central, that's a crazy division that you guys are in.
That's right.
What do you think about the Seahawks? You're a Seahawk fan also. What do you think about the Hawks this year?
This year?
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to lose another game. That Indy game's the only one I'm worried about. Today's going to be a huge beating.
Yeah.
17 points.
17 points there. That's about what the spread is. So you guys.
They're motivated.
All right, I like that. Well, thanks a lot for jumping on with us, man. See, there's a guy, a Steeler fan right from Seattle, but he also roots for the Seahawks. That's why you come down to Village Pub. It takes all kinds.
I've kind of pushed that to the side. I'm not really expecting anything. Nothing has changed from before. You know, of course I want to be here, but at the same time, it's a business, and they understand that, you know, I believe that things are fair and there's a fair price, and they also understand that they have a way of doing it.
All right, you just heard from Shaun Alexander. Joining us now alongside Chad Eaton, myself, is Claire Farnsworth, who, of course, covers the Seattle Seahawks. Claire, first of all, we heard some talk during the bye week they were close to a deal between Alexander and the Seattle Seahawks. How close or how far apart are the two?
They've had discussions, but I don't think you could call it close at all. Tim Ruskell has said since he got here that he wanted a season to be able to see what Shaun Alexander's like. He says, I saw the same things that all you guys saw in highlight film, the guy scoring, but he wants to be sure that he can, correct all the misconceptions. Shaun doesn't run as hard between the 20s as he does in the red zone. He won't or can't block and pass protection. He's kind of a me guy instead of a team player. And to this point, Shaun has done just about everything he could possibly do to convince Tim Ruskell that he's a guy worth signing to a long-term contract.
Do you think, Claire, your professional opinion, is Shaun Alexander going to be back in the Seahawks uniform next year?
It's going to take creativity. The trouble is you can't sign a guy that's going to be 29 years old and has the miles on him that he does to a LaDainian Tomlinson-like contract. So you're going to have to get creative, come up with some incentives, get a package that's going to be a big enough signing bonus to appease him, but not, commit salary cap suicide for the next 6 or 7 years.
Alexander, as you've talked about, has changed his running style this year, but if they don't get Alexander, you need a running back. Who's out there?
Well, it's not Maurice Morris. I think we found that out, that he cannot stand the pounding between the tackles when he has to do that. Well, Edgerrin James is one guy that might be out there. There will be other players. There's also guys in the draft. And, the situation, if Mike Holmgren remains the coach, Shaun Alexander really isn't a great fit for his offense. Yeah. I mean, he never had a back like that in Green Bay. He likes to run the ball 40% of the time, pass it 60% of the time. He's kind of skewed his own offensive philosophy to be able to get Alexander involved in this offense as much as he is.
I heard the name Jamal Lewis thrown out today, that they're disgruntled with him out there in Baltimore, and would he be a fit here?
I don't think so, because just the way that he's handling the situation in Baltimore. Tim Ruskell has spent the entire offseason getting rid of guys that were malcontents, and he's not going to bring in another one.
Anything?
Well, Claire, you do a great job in everything you do. And so basically you're saying that Shaun's not going to be back next year.
No, I think he can be, but it's going to take some creativity by the team to be able to come up with a package that Shaun and his guys can live with.
I personally don't think he's going to be back next year. I think he's going to be asking between the $16, $18 million mark, and I don't think they're going to go ahead and put all their eggs in one basket like they usually do with the Seattle Seahawks. I think they're going to flare it out and give it to a bunch of players like Hutchinson and team players and Jurevicius, and I think we can go ahead and do it by committee. The Dallas Cowboys have documented that you can do it. You can find running backs out of the draft. You can do it by committee with Barber and Julius Jones, and I think we may be looking in that direction.
Yeah, and that's the problem, that they've also set the table for this kind of because of the deals they gave Walter Jones and Matt Hasselbeck last offseason, that Shaun's guys are going, okay, if those guys are worth $16, $17 million signing bonuses, why shouldn't our guy get 20?
Claire, you not only follow this team, but you know the NFL as well as anybody's, especially sitting here. How far can this team go? Do they have the ingredients to go all the way?
Well, if they can get the first round bye and secure home field advantage, they can go a long way. The problem is if they struggle at all down the stretch here and they have to go play like that Bears defense in Chicago on that field, that could be very difficult. The same with having to go to Carolina. But you guys were talking about it earlier. These people that are behind us right here have made a huge difference. This has gone back to what it used to be like in the Kingdome, where teams come in here and they not only have to deal with the Seahawks, but they have to deal with the crowd noise generated by these people.
And sitting out here without a security guard is not the safest place in the world.
I'd rather be in Quest Field where it's safe.
As Matt Hasselbeck gets into the line of scrimmage to run a play.
We'll set the offensive line next. A toss outside to Alexander didn't look pretty, but it's a first down close to the 50-yard line.
Very, very good blocker and can catch a little bit as well.
The quick flip to Alexander looking for the edge. Busts through somehow, and he's got the first. The 49ers looked like they did a pretty good job of containing it and stringing it out, but he finds a seam. He got 8.
Well, and here's a real good job of him using his fullback, Mack Strong. And Mack's going to get out right here, and Mack's going to lead the play out here on the linebacker. Watch Shaun get out there, and then the patience, as soon as it clears, he busts up inside the crease for the big run. You see, he's going to wait, be patient, be patient, be patient. Now a little crease clears right inside of his fullback, Mack Strong. He takes it north and south at that point for the first down. And that's the patience that Shaun Alexander brings to the table. And that's how he uses his line and his fullback when he's running the football.
They'll go with the 2 tight ends, Alexander and Alexander, not much. A home field advantage, and Mike Holmgren said would be huge, making teams now make that long trip from the east and play us here on our own place.
On this defense, it's Derek Smith.
Alexander looking for the cutback. He's got more than a cutback. He's out close to the 45 and a first down. Let's go down to the third member of our crew, Chris Myers.
Hey, Ron, you and Tim were talking about the 12th man. You know, recently after the Giant win, Mike Holmgren presented the fans here in Seattle with a game ball, and they started a tradition a few years ago, raising a flag here. Kenny Easley, the honorary member, before the game, after the national anthem. Matt Hasselbeck told me before the game it gives him goosebumps, and the crowd knows when to cheer on their team and against the opposition. 22 false starts for the opposition, the most in the NFL when they come to Seattle.
He talked about that noise, and there goes Shaun Alexander. And Alexander is in the 49er territory. 15 yards. 15 or more touchdowns each of the past 4 seasons. He keeps rolling.
Well, everybody over here doing a great job, as they've always done. But I want you to watch the fullback, Mack Strong, as he leads up in front of Shaun Alexander. Watch 38 right there. Pow, there's one block on Derek Smith. Now he's going to move to the next level.
That's great.
And get another block on Shante Spencer. Spring Shaun for more yards.
I'm sorry, I'm going to say it again. The man deserves to go to the Pro Bowl.
Get him to the Pro Bowl.
Alexander leading the NFL with 40 carries of 10 or more yards. They give it to Strong. The longest tenured Seahawk, 13 years in the NFL. And as
Didn't he come in as an
earlier,
undrafted free agent in 1993?
Undrafted free agent, and he spent his first year on the practice squad.
Look at that. A couple of 1,000-yard rushers behind him throughout his career.
Shaun Alexander appreciates it. He takes him to the Pro Bowl every year as a guest. Say, hey, thank you. This one's going deep. And knocked away. Nice play there. Brought in as a free agent from Tampa Bay. And he's been very big. Alexander trying to get away from Derek Smith, and Smith will have nothing of it.
No one. They love what Derek Smith brings to the table.
Looking for the corner. He's got Mack Strong in front of him, Alexander, and he's pushed out of bounds just inside the 10-yard line. Derek Johnson, the rookie out of Washington, came up.
You know, we talk about the offensive line, Ronnie, and all the good blocking that they do, but as we watch this game today, watch the tight ends. Watch Ryan Hannum, watch Jeremy Stevens, and watch how these guys set the edge as well for Shaun Alexander on that stretch play. They do a good job and have all year, when you talk about the tight ends on this team, at blocking defensive ends, which shouldn't happen in this league, but they have success doing it.
When you listen to what he says, the way he says it, everything.
Ronnie's got confidence in the guys around him.
Alexander, not much.
One of the young kids that has been forced to play, and he's going to continue to get better.
Alexander fumble!
Knocked it out.
And I believe the Seahawks retain possession.
And I think Brandon Moore just knocked that baby out. The linebacker we were just talking about. You watch him, number 56, fill up here on Alexander. Right there was 56. Got his left hand in there and knocked that football out, it looked like. Yep. There it is. The left arm of Brandon Moore punched that out. And, you know, sometimes when you're good, you get all the bounces. It was perfect right there for the offensive lineman to pick it up.
Sean Locklear being very alert. Cutback Alexander. He's got to get away from one man. He can't do it. That's Julian Peterson as a marker goes down. Started all 16 games last year getting that valuable experience. Sack. First sack of the day
on Hasselbeck. Julian Peterson.
First sack for Julian Peterson since week 1.
That's right.
Of this season. Had 2.5 against the Rams. Watch him jump over Shaun Alexander. Alexander's going to try to take him low, and he's just able to stay on his feet. Not a real good effort by Shaun, who has gotten better at pass protection, but he's going to try to one-time Julian Peterson there and not move his feet. And Julian just runs right by him for the sack.
And here's a look at the rushing leaders coming into today. You can see the numbers there, and
needs 1 more yard to get back back to number 1. See, Edge is done. He had 93 today against Jacksonville in that victory, and then Tiki, what the Giants are doing, got his 65 yards so far in his football game. Nobody gets into the end zone like Shaun Alexander, though.
And the all-time leaders in overall touchdowns, Priest Holmes, after 12 games, 17, a total of 27.
After 12 games, look at this. 22, and projected on pace now for 29 for Shaun Alexander.
You already capped this in the beginning of the game, Tim Ryan.
Week 8 or week 9, he was my most valuable player and hasn't done anything to change my mind since.
Alexander on the call and a breakout. And you know, last year, Shaun was a little bit upset at the end of the year, missed the rushing title by 1 yard, and was mad at Coach Holmgren for not letting him go ahead and call the running play and get that extra yard. He made that publicly known, and there was a little bit of a rift going on.
You remember the week before he had fumbled on the goal line. I think it was against the Jets, and Mike wanted to win that game, and I think there was still 4+ minutes left, thinking his defense would get a stop and Shaun could get another carry. Obviously, that never happened.
They've since mended defenses, obviously, and I will call out the formations for him. You know, they'll be going over things, and she'll give him the formation, and he has to call out the play. That guy doesn't need any help with anything. Shaun Alexander with another nice run. Finally brought down by Derek Smith, but he got 13 yards.
Well, and watch, Steve Hutchinson's going to get out and pull here and lead the way. Nice block down by Walter Jones, and then the patience of Shaun Alexander. He's just going to get out behind his guard. He gets a kick out. Gray, the other guard pulling, gets a seal down, creates a nice little crease. Shaun's got so much confidence in that group in front of him. Remember when he first started, he kind of runs sideways, maybe a little too patient. It's all paying off now because he knows where his fits are behind that offensive line.
12 carries for 73 yards before this run. Maybe got back to the line of scrimmage.
Now this includes all kickers too now. He's number 1 straight up. 3rd and 1 conversions. He can run with a little power too now.
Second in the NFC in yards from scrimmage with over 1,400 yards. And it's just an amazing year that he's having, at a point not to be selfish, but when you want to have the year going into your contract season.
Well, and the thing is, too, is all this stuff's good. He's a great human being. I mean, you talk to him, you sit down with Shaun Alexander, and you know you're talking to a guy who's for real. Humbles himself every day and just knows where he is.
Play action on the 2nd and 8. The out isn't there. Plenty of time, no pass rush. And he checks it back down to Alexander, and he'll be about a yard short. Let's go down to Chris Myers.
Ron, a number of the 49er players I talked to agree with Tim before the game. They were saying Alexander, they've done a good job against him, but they think he's the league MVP. Travis Hall in particular said, you know, he's just as good as he was last year. The team around him has been very good, and said, watch how he uses his stiff arm. It's something he's perfected, he thinks, in the last couple of years, and he gains extra yards when guys try and tackle him.
It's a great point. That is a great point, because he does use it.
And this is the guy they go to in 3rd and 1.
How people drip off of him.
Alexander is perfect, 12 for 12 coming into that run in the season in 3rd and 1 situations. That leads the NFL.
Ronnie, watch this block right here. Remember I talked about earlier, tight end sealing the edge? Watch Ryan Hannum on Andre Carter. This should not happen. Watch him turn his hips. Whoop! Right there. I mean, that is a big-time block on a pretty good defensive end, making a nice big alleyway for Shaun Alexander. Breaks 1 tackle. Now he's down for another 1st down.
Timmy, how's that going to look in Monday morning meetings when you got hooked by a tight end?
Not good. You know how Mike Nolan runs his meetings. Andre's going to have to stand up in front of the whole crew and say, fellas, that was me. I got hooked by a tight end.
My bad. What you won't do. Tell me the mistakes you won't make from here on. Shaun Alexander, no mistakes in his game. He piles 2 for the 1st down, dragging Brandon Moore. He got 11.
And another terrific block by Ryan Hannum. I mean, this time he doesn't have to seal the edge. Watch what he does here. He's going to get out, and then he's going to chop down Derek Smith, who is the guy that needs to make this tackle. Look at Hannum go low on him. Pow. He's on the ground. And now Shaun's off to the races with a good kick-out block with Mack Strong on the outside. I mean, if Shaun gets the credit, he gets the touchdowns, he gets the yards. Watch the blocking in front of him and how he uses those guys. His tight ends, his fullback, his offensive guards, everybody.
Ingram wide open on the crosser, and Ingram will have an easy first down. He's down at the 10-yard line. He's 5 yards away from his 9th consecutive 100-yard game versus a divisional opponent. He could break it here, not this time. And if he gets 9, that would break Walter Payton's record. And you played with Sweetness. Well, no, you know the type of running he did.
Ronnie, it's amazing just the numbers and the records that he's on the verge of breaking. I mean, you're talking about NFL all-time greats. And Shaun Alexander is putting up those kind of numbers and really flying under the radar. I mean, a lot of people around the country don't know how good Shaun Alexander is.
First and goal for Seattle. Alexander cut down in the backfield. I'd like to know just how much money that is. Seahawks will go back after the penalty, 1st and 15, and they are rounding up Shaun Alexander. 6 and 6, trying to stay in that race. Play action pass, nowhere to go. The dump off to Alexander. He's across the 40 with a stiff arm.
That's the stiff arm that Chris Myers was talking about, and the 49er defenders know what this is all about. This is part of the game that Shaun Alexander has improved on, his upper body strength. Matt's just going to dump it off to him here. Now he's going to roll out. Brandon Moore trying to come up and make the tackle. There's the stiff arm right to the face mask right there. That's just going to put him right to the ground.
And you know they never call that on the offensive guy. A defensive guy can't put his hand on an offensive player's face mask. I know, Timmy, I know.
It's all about these guys.
I just had to say that.
Alexander and spending time with my boy, he had a great time.
Alexander looking to turn the corner. Doesn't get much. Pushed out of bounds.
That was Ben Emanuel running the safety with Shante Spencer.
1st and goal. Alexander looking for the pylon and can't quite get it. But what an achievement for Alexander, as we see the graphic there. 9th consecutive game over 100 yards, eclipsing Walter Payton's record set back in '76.
Here's Mack Strong. He's just going to get caught up in all this traffic over here, down on his legs. Guys are pancaking people in front of him. Look at that.
Oh.
Wow.
That's ugly.
But Mack's all right.
All right, and laughing about it.
Yep.
2nd and goal. Alexander, touchdown. His first of the day, his 23rd of the year.
Good job by everybody, in particular Robbie Tobeck right here on Anthony Adams at the center position is just going to get him going one way and then just going to stay with it. See him just stay with him and just put him on his back big time. Shaun cuts it back a little bit in that crease and punches it into the end zone. Terrific block up front by Robbie Tobeck.
Shaun Alexander coming up on the 1,500-yard rushing mark for the season.
Is that the Karate Kid?
Shaun Alexander today has been all over it. Some great blocking up front, finding the holes, which he does so well.
His vision is terrific.
And he always looks like he's gliding, but at the last minute he can turn it on, and he's got the speed to run away from you a lot faster than he appears.
But an awesome, awesome year Shaun Alexander's.
That was the Karate Kid.
Ralph Macchio. Look at that. And that 1,000-yard benchmark is nothing anymore for these guys.
Well, we've talked about that. It's more like the 1,500-yard club.
Yeah. All right, fellas, I tell you what, this is the great thing about living in America. You ask for one guy, you get 2 guys. This is cool. Jordan Babineau, Shaun Alexander. Jordan, nice day today, man. You get in that slot for Andre Dyson, and you make the most of it.
Well, definitely. I felt I had a pretty solid performance today. But you know, I still need to go back and watch a little film, kind of see some things that I need to correct on as far as technique goes, and try to get better and get ready for next week.
And my friend Shaun Alexander, you just keep rolling, don't you?
You know, we've got just a great team. You know, this is the closest group of guys that I've ever seen together, coming after one goal. You know, it's awesome when you get two brothers playing the opposite sides of the field, but I'm over there watching big play Babs out there making things happen. You know, it's exciting to be a Seahawk right now, and you know, we all know the sky's the limit, and we're having fun right now.
9 in a row. Did you ever think that this team would win? I mean, you think lofty goals, but do you ever think 9 in a row? Do you ever dare to dream 9 games in a row?
You want the truth? Yes. That's how we are. You know, we've set high goals, and I think this year was the first time where it really just clicked. Offense, defense, special teams, that no one can deny us. And if we play our best game, that it's going to be unbelievably hard to beat us. And that's what we've been doing.
As a young defensive player, what's it like watching an offensive juggernaut like Shaun?
Oh, well, you're talking about a future Hall of Famer now. Come on. I mean, but it's good. It's always a good thing to see our offense go to work because, you know, they've been clicking on all cylinders all season, man. And I tell you, you know, what we try to do as a defense is try to get them the ball back in situations where we can't punish our opponents. So, fortunately, the last 2 games, we've been making strides as a defense, and offense still clicking.
And as an offensive player, to see a defense that doesn't let the other team past the 50-yard line after they score a field goal, and that's it. That's all. That's all they get. That's the only time they get past the 50 all day. What is that? What are you feeling like when you see that?
You know, what I love is, you know, they had the 2 penalties earlier to even get them anywhere close. They might not have crossed the 50 the whole game, and we know that. So this gives us something else to go work at. But, you know, everybody knows I'm proud of all these guys, and I've always thought that in them, and I saw it after Jacksonville. You know, I studied the game, and I was like, you know what? From Jacksonville on, I said, if these boys play like what they just showed, they don't know, but we're going to run the table, and that's what we've been doing. We've been just spinning heads, and we've been keeping it quiet at 11-2.
But that's the coolest thing in the world because you guys are flying under the radar. Okay, but now you're on the front of ESPN this week. Yeah, I saw it. I got that. I opened up my mailbox. You're there. What do you think about that?
I loved it. I think the guy didn't like because I told him that we ran the East Coast. So I think that he mistaked my belief in my team for everything else. But who cares? People got to come beat us, and that's what I like about that.
You sure ran the West Coast. I mean, you ran the NFC West. Nobody beat you in this division.
Yeah, we're 3-1 on the East too. You know what I mean? We know that.
Oh man. Well, congratulations on the Man of the Year award. I mean, that's a well-deserved award. You know, people. But you do a lot of stuff in the community, and it's a wonderful thing to see the stuff you do matches off the field, the stuff you do on the field. And my friend, if you can follow the example of this guy as being a good human being and a player, you're going to be around for a long time too.
He will.
You keeping a watchful eye on.
These are my little brothers. They know.
And do they make this in tent size? Because I like to get something like that.
No, I might have to call Shaun and see if we can get something custom made for you.
You can put 2 together for me, right?
Yeah.
I got to say hi to my wife. Hi, sweetie. We're doing good.
He's on the way home.
I'll see you in a little bit.
Thanks, guys. All right, guys, back to you in the studio.
Welcome back to Nashville and happy holidays. Ron Pitts, Tim Ryan. We are set for kickoff. The Seahawks have won the toss in the Giants game. And that's Alexander. Alexander with a breakout already. Shaun Alexander. He's into Titans territory. And Shaun Alexander has just eclipsed the 1,500-yard mark for the 2nd season in a row.
Well, just a great job of Shaun using his fullback, Mack Strong. We've seen it all year long. You're going to see Mack Strong come from the fullback here. Tank Williams is going to come over here and get chopped down right at the point of attack. Pow! Right there. That's going to open this for Shaun Alexander, who takes it down for another big first down for Seattle early in this ball game.
A 4.9 yards per carry rush coming into this game. Definitely having the big year. Alexander again. Not much. Keith Bullock, the Pro Bowler, in on the tackle. A pickup of 3. And a look at Alexander's numbers there. And the thing that's most impressive, I think, Tim, along with that, is that he seems to get stronger in the second half and as the game goes on.
Well, I think part of that is what we talked about in the open with that offensive line. I think they start to wear people down because this is an athletic group. Not only are they big up front, but they're athletic. They get stronger as well as the game goes on.
They'll go from the eye, the power. Nothing happening. Alexander from the eye. Not a lot on the right side. We talked about the Pro Bowl offensive line, and it's anchored by that left side. Steve Hutchinson, the 5th-year man out of Michigan, in a contract here, Tim. And Hard to believe that the Seahawks wouldn't get him wrapped up.
I don't think they'll let him get away. Now, we'll be able to test the market. Guys are going to be throwing a lot of money at him, but let's remember, they've got the franchise tag that they can use because they can't use it on Shaun Alexander another year. Hutch may be the guy that gets it here for the 05 offseason.
2nd and 4, and Alexander will pick his way through for an easy first down, making his bid for an MVP. And this guy here is making a bid for an MVP. Shaun Alexander with a huge run. So the 20, 15 out of bounds at the 12-yard line of the Tennessee Titans. And he came into today's game just short of the rushing title thanks to Tiki Barber, but that might help get it back.
Anytime you see a running back cutting back, look at the backside defensive tackle. Does Haynesworth get too far up the field to open this crease up for Shaun Alexander? That's actually a pretty good job squeezing right there, but there it is. A couple of missed tackles, a bad angle by your safety and Tank Williams. And Shaun just glides now. When he gets in the open field, his vision is terrific. He can cut back against the grain running. He's faster, too, than I think anybody gives him credit for.
I hold my breath, he said.
He holds his breath. He didn't even realize it.
Alexander not holding his breath here as he continues to push the pile. They'll probably mark forward progress, but he got very close to the goal line as they scuffle it out here. A little frustration showing up on the part of the Titans, and I can understand why. Getting gashed.
And gashed right over the money side, this left side of the offensive line. And this is a perfect example of Shaun coming up with a 50-plus yard run and now have enough gas left in the tank to expose that hole like that. You see his speed through the hole? That is part of it because he's breathing now on the long runs. He said he's much more energized at the end of games, and on the following play, he doesn't have to come off the football field. Didn't even know he wasn't breathing on those long runs, and very grateful for his guy for picking that up.
1st and goal, Alexander, and he'll just walk in. Touchdown Seahawks. 24th of the year for Shaun Alexander. And they are making it look ridiculously easy here in the first.
Couple of good blocks. Ryan Hannum is an underrated blocker here at tight end. He's going to get a good seal. Then you're going to see the linebacker step up. You're going to see the puller come around in the running back and get a spot on him there. You see the good block by Mack Strong once again. Yeah. You get a good kick out. You get a good block down from Hannum. Then a nice block by Strong, and Alexander makes it look easy.
Whenever there's a great run by Alexander, it's usually accompanied by a great block by Mack Strong. 14-zip here in the first.
It's the unison. Block down there, block down there. Watch Hutchinson get out and get the kick out, and then you'll see Mack Strong fit up inside. Everybody is in sync, acting as one group. Look at that. I mean, on a man, on a man, on a man, crease, touchdown.
To take a quote from Bill Parcells earlier in the week, he said, the most overrated thing in this business, as we look at the touchdown record there, the most overrated thing in the business is a game plan, and the most underrated thing is execution. And you saw a perfect example of it right there. As we've said, a win today for Seattle, and they will get themselves a first-round bye. A win plus a Chicago loss will mean home field throughout. And Alexander is popped quickly by Brad Castle, the middle linebacker.
I think we know who the 1 seed's going to be. I think they're sitting right there on the field in the Seattle Seahawks.
Alexander. And, you know, it's funny what Shaun Alexander said about the whole Sports Illustrated cover this week, and everybody's talking about the jinx. He says, well, wait a minute. Jerry Rice was on that cover. Emmitt Smith was on that cover. Brett Favre was on that cover. Now, if that's a jinx, then I want that Super Bowl ring jinx.
There's not a more humble guy than Shaun Alexander. Terrific human being.
And, Tim, you've been talking about this guy now for 3 years, and to say that, well, where did he come from and who is he and how come nobody knows? I don't know if that's accurate.
I can tell you where he came from, about 300 miles from here, and he was a touchdown machine in Alabama. Doesn't seem to have messed up any of the chemistry so far in this game.
The pitch and the cut for Alexander. You know, one thing interesting about Shaun is that when he realizes there's nothing there, he will shut it down.
He's doesn't a smart player.
Pour in there and try to go head-to-head with a brick wall. He lives for another day. And that will be the end of the first quarter, and it is all Seahawks for this team. 3rd and 5. Alexander, quick inside draw. They're going to be about 4 yards short. 1st and 10 for Hasselbeck. I formation run for Alexander, looking for the cutback. Travis LeBoy won't let it happen.
you've got to either go under or go over the top as a receiver. Hard for the defender to stay with him.
Second down and 3. They're stringing this one out on Alexander. And Pac-Man Jones comes up with a nice open field tackle.
It hasn't been the case in the second quarter. You're right, though. Shaun, at the beginning of the game, was terrific. His offensive line doing good stuff for him. You just see a good illustration of his vision and how he can get to those cutback lanes, and then he gets in the open field. He's going to make it happen. Nobody sniffs the end zone better than he does, that being his 24th touchdown on the year. But that second quarter, you started to get the feeling that Seattle may be stepping into a trap here in Tennessee.
Yeah, just say it, trap game.
And they stepped on the gas with that block, Ronnie, and they haven't stopped since then on offense or defense.
242 yards and 3 touchdowns by Tennessee since that block. Titans have converted 8 of 24 fourth down attempts on the year. This is going to be work. And they won't get it. Denied by the Seahawks. And you made the point, Tim.
That's a bad move.
Go for your points.
It's a bad move. And I know Jeff will go for it, and he's got nothing to lose, and they're a 4-9 team. But if you want to win, and it's against a quality opponent like the Seahawks, who obviously can put points up in a hurry, you get your points while you can. Just an outstanding job of the guys, the defensive line at the point of attack. Rocky Bernard doing a great job. Leroy Hill forcing that thing sideways. And once you get Chris Brown going sideways, there's too much heat, too much speed on that defense. They're going to track him down sideline to sideline for a big fourth down stop.
Like you say, as soon as you start going sideline, especially on a fourth down play, you're done. Shaun Alexander been very quiet in the second half of this game, but on the season...
Not historically, baby.
He usually picks it up in the second half. But he's been on the sideline a lot in this second half.
And I think they need to run it. I think his defense has spent a lot of time on the field, Seattle, so give Shaun the football. Let him run. Let him chew some time off this clock. You give your defenders some rest, and you keep a red-hot Steve McNair. Remember I talked earlier, it's about controlling tempo if you're Tennessee and keeping Hasselbeck and Shaun and all those guys over on the sideline. Now the tables have turned. If you're Seattle, you run your system, you run your offense, but you certainly mix in a few more runs than maybe you normally would.
Back to Alexander. Not a lot. LeBoy in on the tackle. 5th player in NFL history with consecutive 1,600-plus yard seasons, and there he goes again. Another big breakout run for Shaun Alexander, padding that 1,600-yard mark. $32 yards.
I'd like to know what the defensive end here is doing. I think it's Odom. He ends up the field. Shaun just runs right by him. Oh, Locklear was hanging on to him. That's what happened. And then Shaun gets out there, makes a couple guys miss, and then there's his vision. Yeah, Locklear held on to Odom just enough. Got the nice block from Mack Strong, and then Shaun makes it happen. Cutting back against the grain.
We'll get the call again, and Alexander, big runs are nothing new to him. Leads the NFL with 13 runs of 20 or more yards. Had a big 52-yard run earlier today.
Oh, man. Watch Darrell Jackson right here. He's going to go try to block Keith Bullock. You want to play slot receiver in this league, Ronnie? Watch this. Oh, he just flipped him up big time. It was worse in real speed.
Only the 5th player in NFL history to do so. Alexander will get the call, looking for end zone. He'll be about 2 yards short.
He pushed it through the uprights. Now they could have lined up and went for a field goal there and had a 2-point lead.
Alexander, and you're going to see more of Alexander trying to work on the clock here. Seahawks are 9-0 since he was mentioned as a starter way back in Week 5 versus the Rams. Alexander for a few. Strong out of the backfield. 2nd and 6. Alexander, this is going to be a bounce out. Gets away from Haynes, gets away from Thompson. And you know, it's funny because Alexander has this knock of not being a very fast guy, but he's listed as a 4.3 from his pre-draft workouts, 4.3 40. He can fly. I mean, that is flying.
He's running away from guys. Hainsworth had an angle on him. Thompson came. He runs away from him and picks up another first down for the Seattle offense.
Another career high for Shaun Alexander. And yeah, look at that per whack.
That's about what it is, too. 7 yards of whack for Shaun Alexander.
And you got to say it just like that, man, because that's what it feels like to the defense. Whacked upside the head. And look at them. They're all stacked inside trying to stop that run. 1st and 10. Here it comes. Good play by the Tennessee defense.
Extra linebacker here and took out Ronaldo Hill to play the run.
Another run by Alexander. A marker is down late as Alexander falls close to the 1st down marker.
There's no foul on the play. The blocker put out his leg, the trip. He did not make contact, therefore it's not a foul.
In other words, that's an attempted trip that didn't go right.
Tennessee takes their 3rd and final timeout.
3rd and final timeout for Tennessee as you look at the scenario once again. Look for Alexander here. He's 13 of 13 in this situation. And there it is. You think maybe they knew that? Execution.
Boy, what a block by Tobeck.
Always win.
Tobeck just did an outstanding job up inside. I mean, watch Tobeck right here on Hainsworth. That's a tough block. Remember what I told you earlier? They're going to go one way and then you take them. Hainsworth tried to go that way. Robbie Tobeck just rides him right by. Creates him enough crease for Shaun to fall forward for the 1st down.
That's the 2-minute warning. So the Seahawks will set the franchise record. They will add another win. They will go to 12 wins and actually tie the franchise record.
Well, they know one thing. They got a bye in the 1st week. They are sitting in the 1st week of the playoffs. They've just achieved that with a W.
And they sure look like the team to beat. It looks like the road to the Super Bowl for the NFC is going to go through Seattle. So for Tim Ryan and Maria Black, I'm Ron Pitts saying so long from Nashville.